This is the Student Leadership News Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Student Leadership News Podcast. It's fantastic to have you with us, regardless of whether you're watching the video version or you are listening to the audio podcast version. It is just fantastic that you've joined us for the first episode of 2019. I co-host this regularly. My name is Ronan, and with me is...
Cameron,
good to have the A-team back. There we go. Now, Cam, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ronan. Happy New Year to you as well. I wish I had like a little party popper or something.
We could do the New Year's party poppers and the sparklers.
Oh, and the little, like,
New
you know,
Year's
the kazoo things like that.
I was hoping you'd do a reenactment. Now I know what you're talking about.
Perfect.
Good. Like, before we get too far into the serious stuff, Cam, over the Christmas time, what did you enjoy eating the most?
Oh, well, Ronan, I was actually in America over Christmas, in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I got to enjoy a big, like, American turkey. Like,
American
we all know
turkey.
what we're thinking of when we think American turkey.
Yeah, I think of that Mr. Bean episode where he's got that giant turkey that actually fits over his head. So you got to eat one of those.
Perfect. Exactly that.
Yeah,
So
good stuff.
enjoyed some turkey over Christmas. No snow, even though it was winter in America, but LA is still a little bit too warm for that. But I got the turkey.
Yeah,
but
certainly no snow where I was in Australia, but Christmas ham for me.
Oh,
Probably
Christmas ham.
because you can eat it for the next 5 days in sandwiches.
That's smart.
just as good as Christmas Day itself.
is that a regular thing that you do each year?
Yeah, pretty much when possible. I kind of make sure that it happens. If it hasn't been organised, I'll put the word out and make sure that it does.
And then you get to enjoy the ham over the cricket. Over
Absolutely,
the next
watching
couple
cricket
days.
with
Perfect.
ham sandwiches. Love it. Now, I recognise the hoodie that you are wearing, Cam.
It's a hoodie.
It was talked about in an episode late in 2018. Can you tell our audience what you've got hold of?
Well, this hoodie is a Galaxy Cat hoodie.
Galaxy Cat.
Now, for those who don't remember what Galaxy Cat is, it was an initiative started by Lincoln, a year
It's like,
one student.
5 years old or something.
Yeah,
isn't it?
something insane. Like someone with this massive ambition, he wanted to raise $1,000 for this trip. They're like amazing. Just wanted to help the students at his school go on a trip to Cambodia. But one of the things he did was like he was creating merchandise, and this is one of the
fashion label
hoodies.
started by a 5-year-old to raise money for charity projects,
It's
and it
amazing.
looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's actually the dabbing cat.
The dabbing
So
cat. That is
cat-
cool. I
the
didn't even
cat
notice
is
that. That's
doing
awesome.
a dab on the front
Dabbing
there.
Galaxy Cat.
And it's
Okay.
comfy. I'll
Yep.
tell you that, Rons.
Good stuff. So Galaxy Cat, look it up, galaxycat.org.
Yep.
Buy yourself a hoodie like Cam has got. Awesome. Okay, well, we've got lots to get through. So let's get into our first segment for 2019.
Ooh.
My favorite idea.
Okay, Ronan, it's the start of 2019, the start of a new year. You must have come up with some new ideas, heard of some great ideas over the holidays. What's your favorite idea at the moment?
Okay, recently I was involved in some training for student leaders, and I did a couple of days just with student leaders from one school. And one thing that I noticed was really, really valuable, and I'll include it as my favorite idea, is when former student leaders from last year pass on their lessons and what they learned to incoming student leaders for this year. Now, this can happen in different ways. So the students that I was with, the way that it happened is last year's student leaders would write a letter about the things that they wish they knew at the start of the year, the things that they found hard as the year progressed, the advice that they would pass on. Just wrote like a few paragraphs down, sealed that letter, and then it was given by the teacher to an incoming student leader, just to get them thinking at the very least, and perhaps learning a few things from last year's student leaders. So that took place. But also what took place is some of last year's student leaders attended so that like face-to-face conversation could take place with incoming student leaders. So I just encourage people who are out there listening to this, it's not too late, even though 2019 has started. Get in touch with last year's student leaders and get them to either write down or create a catch-up. Informal is totally fine. And like pass on the knowledge that they learned. That doesn't have to be fancy wisdom. Like they don't have to write a book and give you that book. They just have to talk about the things they found easy, the things they found hard, or ideas that almost got off the ground and didn't. Those types of things. That can be super, super valuable. So my favorite idea is having conversation between like former leaders and incoming leaders.
That's a great like idea to start the year off. I know that like as my time as a student leader, that was something that I realized halfway through the year that, like, starting off the year as a student leader, I was kind of like, I know everything there is to know. I am so ready.
Yeah,
I've
and you're
talked to
probably
students.
about to make the same mistakes as last year.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But if you like have that conversation, if you talk to them,
Yep.
man, you get all that over and done with so quickly.
Totally. Got to happen.
Yeah, great. That was a great idea, Ronan. Well, let's jump into our next segment.
3, 2, 1.
Top 3.
Wonderful, Ronan. Top 3, a regular segment on this podcast.
Love it.
So we had to start off the year with a top 3 segment. Now, this segment is the top 3 ways to start the year strong. And it's a really important one because student leaders, this is the start of the year. For some student leaders, this is the start of their leadership journey. It's really important that they started off strong. So top 3 ways to do that. How can we do it, Ronan?
I'll get us started, and then I'll throw to you for number 2. So number 1, I would say, is student leaders should declare a short-term goal.
Great.
Now, what I mean by this is it's easy to think, wow, we've got a whole year ahead. It's exciting. So in term 3 or in term 4, like in 9 months' time, we're going to work up to something really big, and our school's going to be blown away by our cool idea. The problem is you end up hiding away as student leaders trying to organise this thing, not being present to people, and perhaps get no momentum to actually achieve it. So I think what a student leader should do is choose something that's happening in the first few weeks of school and say we're going to build a goal around that. It could be as really simple as a morning tea that takes place, like provided by student leaders for new students to the school, even if that's only a handful of them. That's easy to organise. It can happen really soon. You can do that well, and then students can say, wow, our student leaders are up and running for the year. So regardless of what the idea is, that doesn't matter too much, but declare a really short-term goal, something that can be achieved really, really soon. So that's my first tip. You want to go for number 2?
Okay, number 2 is ask others for ideas. Now, this is so essential because you start off the year maybe with some of your own ideas, these things that you want to get done. But if you don't ever ask the people around you for ideas or things that they want to get done, then so often what can happen is you can jump into the year, you can start with your first event, and if you're just doing events that you enjoy, then probably not many people, if they don't enjoy the exact same things, won't turn up. So one of the most powerful things you can do to start off the year is actually ask others for what they want out of the year. Get some ideas from them. Because then not only like you find out some ways that you could involve them in your events, but you find out maybe some different ideas or some different events that you could run throughout the year that are even bigger than what you could think of. Yeah. And I think that's such a powerful tool.
Totally. Partly because it helps you get ideas, and secondly, it shows people that you're a leader who listens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, third way to start the year strong, gather support. Now, gathering support can happen in different ways. I would encourage student leaders to go to a teacher in their school that they look up to and say, can you help mentor me as a leader? Now, that teacher doesn't have to be in charge of student leadership. They don't even have to know everything about what your role is as a student leader. But going to that teacher and saying, I want to share with you some of my goals and ideas. Can you just be a sounding board who chats to me as the year goes on? So that's one way to get support. Another way is to build a team around you individually as a student leader. So let's say your school has 10 leaders, right? And you might get given one of those leadership roles. And let me pick one. You're the environmental captain. Correct. So you're like, cool, well, that's my job within the team. If you go about it properly, there's nothing that stops you from gathering a team of student leaders around you.
100%.
So, of course, you'd probably want to discuss this with the school and get permission. But starting an environmental team, say I want 2 representatives from every year level to work with me on this. It lightens your load, it allows you to have influence across different year levels, and it involves other people in leadership to prepare them for the future as well. But it's about gathering support around you primarily. So if you've been given a role, that's great. See if you can find an opportunity to have others come alongside you. So look, we could probably give 10 ideas to start the year strong. But I think if student leaders just did those 3 things, they would certainly be off to a cracking start for 2019.
100%. Well, there you go. Top 3 ways to start the year strong. Excellent top 3 segment to start this year off. Let's jump into our next segment.
BLT, Best Leadership Tip.
Okay, best leadership tip, Cam. Not best Christmas present.
Ooh.
Okay, you're going to have to keep that one in reserve. But please tell us the best leadership tip that you want to put out there this time of the year.
Okay, best leadership tip for this time of the year is to identify the biggest need in your school. Now, this is something that is so essential. After that top 3, something that needs to happen at the start of your year is you need to identify the biggest need. Now, there are so many different things going on in a school. There are so many different events that you're going to want to run throughout the year, so many different ideas you'll have. But it's really important that you firstly identify the need of your school, because you can run 1,000 events throughout the year, but if it's not actually addressing a need, then, well, probably people won't come along. But also, people won't want to be involved because it's not achieving something. So one of the most powerful things you can do is just identify the biggest need and start actually planning stuff for that need. Start working around that need.
It could be anything, couldn't it? It
Yeah.
could be us saying, well, we need to increase school pride this year, and
Yep.
we're going to do that. It could be we've noticed a problem in bullying over the last few years, so we're going to do something about that. It could be our year levels feel separate around the school. We want to feel unified. It could be that there's a building program happening at part of the school, which means like the schoolyard is so reduced. And so like lunchtimes and stuff are going to be hectic. And so we as leaders need to run some indoor activities for students to be involved in. Like if you just stop and look around the school, it's actually not that hard if you're open-minded about it to find a need, hey?
Yeah, 100%. And what, like, you gave so many great examples then. We're not saying identify all the needs in your school and try to achieve them all throughout
True,
the year.
true.
That's
Too tough.
insane.
Yeah.
But what you can do and what we're suggesting is identify the biggest need. Maybe it's one of those 4 things that like Ronan just suggested then. Maybe it's something else. Identify it and then actually start working towards achieving and like, I guess, working around that need.
There you go. Well, Cam, it's been good chatting for episode 1 of 2019
Yeah.
anyway. Good to have the podcast into its second year. So if you are part of our podcast audience, we want people to like, share, comment, send in questions, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll make 2019 a massive year.
We're so excited for it.
Okay, so we are going to finish this episode with a 1-minute wisdom segment. We love these.
Yes,
don't
we sure do.
Yeah, 1-minute wisdom, where we extract 1 minute of wisdom from a speaker from the National Young Leaders Day that happens around Australia. We're going to pull an excerpt from Kate Campbell,
Ooh.
the swimmer. Kate
Yeah,
Campbell. Now,
great.
I believe she spoke at 2 National Young Leaders Days late in 2018. So we've got an excerpt from that. And she's going to be speaking at more as 2019 is now underway. So I encourage people to find out about Kate Campbell at the Halligan National Young Leaders Day. But for our little preview, we're going to finish this episode with 1 minute. 1 minute of her wisdom to see us through. See you in a future episode, Cam.
Yeah, sounds great to me, Ronan.
And we'll throw everybody to Kate Campbell.
1 Minute Wisdom, direct from the National Young Leaders Day.
What do I value? What do I look in someone who I admire and value? And what would I like to see more of in myself? And I came up with kind of 3 qualities. And these 3 qualities I can take into any situation. And I know that no matter the outcome, no matter win, lose, draw, stutter on stage, trip up the stairs, any stressful situation, I know that no matter what, if I hold true to those values, then I can value myself. The first one is bravery or courage, because it takes a lot of courage and effort and determination to put yourself in a position where failure is possible, because that is the only point where success is possible as well. If you're not prepared to fail, you're not prepared to succeed either.
Thanks for listening to the Student Leadership News Podcast. Interact with us on social media and follow the news online at studentleadership.news.